This is me, 204 pounds, exhausted, overwhelmed, stuck. This is me, 143 pounds, lean, strong, in control. And this is me, 2 years postpartum, 160-ish pounds, and rebuilding again. Right now, GLP-1s are everywhere. Some of my clients are on them. People who I know who aren't clients are on them. And honestly, I get the appeal. If you watched my last video, you know I just finished a 14-mile hike, which is amazing. Like, it's a big deal. I did it. But if I'm being honest with myself, in the weeks leading up to it, I wasn't taking care of myself. I wasn't being intentional with my food at all. I was grabbing what was quick, what was easy, what would just get me through that moment. And then workout-wise, like what workouts? Because that's what it felt like most days. I was so inconsistent and I could feel it. Like my energy was low, my strength was less, and I just didn't feel like myself. Yes, I can do hard things. I know that. But the way I felt after I finished that hike, I don't want to feel that anymore. And so that's why this is where the rebuild actually begins. When things start to slip like that, it is so ingrained in us to seek out something to pull us back on track, something that makes it easier, something that is controlled, more predictable. And that's where a lot of people start to turn to things like GLP-1s. And why wouldn't they? First and foremost, they reduce food noise. If you have never experienced that, it's hard to explain, but if you have, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It is that constant mental chatter of what am I going to eat next? Oh, I shouldn't eat that. Oh, I should eat that. It is the I already messed up today. I'll just start over on Monday. It is all of that just all wrapped up in one, and it is exhausting. And for me, when I was at my least healthiest self, when I was 204 pounds, depressed, anxiety ridden, like the food noise, it didn't show up randomly. It was built. And it was built because it was from years of dieting, years of rules and food restrictions, and you should eat this, you shouldn't eat that. So every time I tried a new diet, yes, the rules might have changed a little bit, but the noise never did. It was so constant. When I was stressed, when I was lonely, when I was bored, when I was exhausted, that food noise just got louder and louder and louder. And honestly, food noise would even show up when I wasn't dieting. For instance, I'd go out, I'd have some pancakes for breakfast and have some fruit and maybe like an egg or something on the side. And is it the most nutrient dense? Maybe not, but there's still some nutrient density to that meal. And so after I'd have something like that, there was still this guilt and this shame around that particular meal. And that's when things would start to spiral. And that spiraling, that's what would create this cycle where, you feel like you need to restrict, and then restricting would lead to binging. And then in my case, binging would sometimes lead to purging. And that's how, you just get caught in this cycle that's so hard to get out of. And the best way I can describe a binge is this very short period of time where it's like an outer body of experience, where you have got like the devil on one side and the angel on the other. And then the angel is like your logical mind saying, hey, I know you've had a really hard day. Why don't we go take a walk? Why don't we go take a nap? Why don't we read a book? Why don't we listen to some music? And you've got the devil. It's like not paying attention to anything that logical brain is saying. And it's just using your body to go through the motions. And then 10 minutes later, bam, like you feel sick to your stomach because you've just eaten through all of these things that you didn't even care about. And you tell yourself, never again. It's never going to happen again. And guess what? It happens again. And over time, when I was going through all of this, you start to not trust yourself around food. Like certain things you can't keep in the house just because it doesn't feel safe for you. And that's why when I hear people talking about taking GLP-1s and all of a sudden all of that food noise is gone, like I get it. I get the appeal. Because if you have ever lived through that, then relief is everything. But what I'm seeing of the people who are taking GLP-1s, most of them are doing it in a way that is going to backfire. As a personal trainer and nutrition and health coach, these are the 6 biggest mistakes I see people making when they're using a GLP-1. And here's how to fix them. The number one mistake I see people making who are using a GLP-1 is that they are not eating enough. Now, this may sound a little bit backwards, but it has gone too far from what I've seen in a lot of people who are using it. So they'll experience hair loss, low energy, muscle loss, hormonal issues, reduced bone density. Like the list goes on and on. This honestly even crosses over into like eating disorder territory with some people. So just making sure that you are eating enough to support your body or meeting like your resting metabolic rate. If you have any questions about that, I'll link a video here. But your RMR is basically how much you burn, how many calories you burn at rest. So you need to eat enough to support that. With that, if you're like, I go hours without thinking about food, then set an alarm. Eating every 2 to 4 hours or having 4 to 6 smaller meals a day is going to do wonders for you. It's going to make sure you're not only eating enough, but that your energy is sustained throughout the day. And like, I get it. You're probably like, well, the goal is to eat less. And maybe it's to have smaller portions, not consume as many calories. But at the end of the day, you still want your body to function. And setting an alarm, having meals more frequently will help with this. The second mistake I see people making on GLP-1s is not eating enough protein. Protein supports your muscle, and when you're not getting enough of it, you're going to lose muscle. And then muscle is what keeps your metabolism working for you. Right now, I am around like 160 pounds, give or take. But at a minimum, my body needs 58 grams of protein a day. And that doesn't even incorporate like workouts in which I would need more protein. So with that, if you are under eating, and especially under eating on protein, your metabolism is going to slow down. And this is exactly what I'm documenting in my rebuild right now. So the nutrition, the training, and how I'm applying it all into my real life as a mom of a toddler. And if you want to come along on that journey with me, just make sure you subscribe.
Did you have a good nap?
Meow,
Meow, meow. Okay, come on, baby.
meow, meow,
Meow, meow, meow.
Mommy.
You want to do it? Okay. Is that Rennie's kitty?
Got Ren out of bed and started prepping dinner, but we are back. We are now looking at number 3. The third biggest mistake that people make when they're taking GLP-1s is they aren't adding resistance training to their routines. Now, with this, just think about your body, your muscle needs a reason to stick around. Resistance training is that reason. I don't care if you're using weights like dumbbells, barbells, whatever. You can use resistance band. You can even use your own body weight. Whatever it is, I would recommend doing 2 to 3 times of resistance training per week. Now, I like to do a split of an upper body day, a lower body day, and then a full body day. So I'm hitting all of the muscle groups. Keep it simple. The fourth mistake I see people making who are on GLP-1s is the fact that they are dehydrated. they're not drinking enough water. And it makes sense. GLP-1s, they slow your digestion, so you're less hungry, which means that you're probably less thirsty. But this can lead to low energy, it can lead to brain fog, it can lead to headaches. Sometimes that is a side effect of the medication, but a lot of times it's just the fact that you haven't had enough water. Now, with that, if you are dehydrated, I would recommend drinking about 8 cups of water a day. It might sound like a lot, but spread it out. So drinking 1 cup, just 1 cup, every 1 to 2 hours. Now that's at a minimum. If you start working out, you're obviously going to need a little more water, but that's where I would start, just to make sure that you're not dehydrated. Coming in at number 5, the 5th biggest mistake I see GLP-1 users making is that they are not tracking their progress beyond the scale. Weight loss is not linear, and being smaller doesn't always equal better, especially if you've got low energy, if your strength is dropping. Like, that's not progress. So I would look at things like your energy from week to week. On a scale of 1 to 10, are you at a 10 where you can do like all of the things in the day that you want to get done and still have pretty good energy at the end of the day? Or are you dragging? Are you a 1 and can barely get out of bed? I would look at that from week to week. Next, I would look at taking measurements, because sometimes that scale doesn't move, but it doesn't mean that you're not making progress, especially if you're resistance training, because muscle is more dense than fat. So your jeans might be fitting better, but that scale might not move. Next, I would look at your strength. Are you making strides and gains in the gym, or are you getting weaker? And then finally, I would look into getting a DEXA scan about every 6 months. And the reason I would do this is because it's going to tell you if you're losing fat, if you are increasing your muscle mass. It's going to show you that distribution of both of them throughout the body. And it's also going to look at your bone density, because you do not want brittle bones. And sometimes if you're not eating enough, that's what that can lead to. Coming in at number 6, and honestly, this is the biggest offender. The 6th biggest mistake that people make when they're taking a GLP-1 is that they do not have a foundation for which to build on. What I mean by that is, when I lost 65 pounds and kept it off for over a decade, that wasn't because I took a shortcut. It was because I focused on 3 things: my nutrition, my mindset, and my movement. If your relationship with food isn't solid, nothing works long term. Because honestly, I don't feel that hunger is ever really the main issue. It's typically stress, it's emotions, it's habits, it's environment. And food just temporarily solves all of that. Now, when it came to movement, I didn't always have discipline. I know, I'm a personal trainer. It's like, you don't have discipline to show up to the gym? No, I didn't. Not at that time, when I was really struggling with my mental health and I was struggling with my body image, food with relationship, all of it. But I knew that I was a good student. And I knew that if I signed up for a class that forced me to show up, that forced me to move, guess what? I was gonna do it. So when I was in college, I created discipline by signing up for a wellness walking class. And I showed up to every single class and I walked. And guess what? I actually started to find that I enjoyed walking. After that, fast forward a few months, maybe like a year later, I only did cardio, and I'm like, well, what else can I do? There's weight training, but I don't know how to lift weights. I wasn't going to teach myself, so guess what? I hired a personal trainer for 3 months who taught me how to lift weights, and that changed everything. Those are the 6 biggest mistakes I have found with GLP-1 users and how to fix them. Now, when it comes to my own rebuild, after that hike, after realizing how I felt, I had to ask myself, what am I actually trying to rebuild? Is it just my body? Is it my routines, my habits, my structure, the way I take care of myself from day to day? Because I don't want to be able to just do hard things. I want to feel good doing them. And that's what this rebuild is about. It's not about the extremes. It's not about shortcuts. It's really getting back to the things that support me. So if you are on a GLP-1 or if you're thinking about getting on a GLP-1, just ask yourself, are you building something that will last? Or are you just getting through for right now? It's funny because I actually had a client tell me that I should try a GLP-1 and document it. And honestly, I thought about it. But at this time and in this season, that is not a direction I want to go in. Because what I am more interested in is figuring out how to create that same level of consistency, that same level of control without relying on something external. And that's what this rebuild is really about. It's about getting back to what actually works. It's about getting back to what will last and what supports me from day to day. Now, in the next couple of videos, I'm going to be really focusing on my nutrition and my training and my routines and just figuring out what this next phase actually looks like for me.